The world really sucks these days, doesn't it? We just had to open the decade with a virus, didn't we? Fine, whatever. I had some plans for something else, but I guess we can do smaller projects while the world sucks. So, Captain Underpants. Fun movie, right? A lot of people skipped out on it as it opened against Wonder Woman when it was released. But you know what? This was honestly a much more wonderful film. Plus, it's relevant this year. Okay, I know that was a lame joke, but you know what? It was easy, come on. I had to do it. Anyway, some background. I was never all that deep in the Captain Underpants franchise. I mean, I remember seeing the books around during my elementary and middle school years. I forget when exactly it was, I just remember I did read one of the books at some point. And I thought it was fine. Not great, not bad, just fine. I thought it was going to be a gross out book, which was not something I was into at the time. But found out it was more old school in its comedy style, and I was okay with that. I never picked up another book. I would hear about it every now and then, but didn't really think much about it. So when I heard DreamWorks was making a movie on it, I didn't think much of it. I figured it'd be fine considering the book was, and DreamWorks has a pretty good track record, but then we got a first look.
Hi, I'm George Beard, and this is my best friend Harold Hutchins.
We just make comics and try to make each other laugh.
I wouldn't say it was great as far as trailers go, but the visuals looked unique compared to most CGI films. So I was interested at least on that level, and surprise, on the day it hit, I chose to watch that and Wonder Woman. I wound up loving Captain Underpants more, and not just because Weird Al sang his theme. The Captain Underpants movie adapts multiple stories from the books, mixing and matching elements to tell a story that's new but familiar to fans. At least, that's my understanding of it. This isn't some new approach. We've seen other family features do this before, like 2011's Winnie the Pooh, the Peanuts movie, and realistically, this seems to be the common approach to movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not unique, but I can respect the choice to ignore doing the one book for one movie approach most would likely expect. It allows freedom to tackle new ideas, change aspects you might not want to include, while allowing for setups to the material you actually do want to see become cinematic moments. Plus, you can always include Easter eggs to other books in the series for the hardcore fans, who will show up to see this regardless. Obviously, some people might prefer seeing a complete adaptation of a single story, but I don't think when it comes to something like this, it becomes that much of an issue. Going by what I remember, the Captain Underpants book I read was long enough to barely sustain a half hour, or 40 minutes at least. Stretching that out would probably hurt more than help. So, going about it like this is a good way to handle a lot of franchises with tons of material.
This whole visual storytelling thing is hard.
So then, what is the plot of Captain Underpants? Well, the movie is every bit an origin story for the title character, while also not being one. In the movie, Captain Underpants is already several issues in, with the leads, George and Harold, even introducing us with the origin issue. Captain Underpants is just a character in their world, until their Principal Crop, tries splitting them up, effectively killing their friendship. To stop this, the boys accidentally hypnotize him into believing he is Captain Underpants. The boys use this to their advantage, accidentally leading them to hire an unstable scientist as the teacher, who ends up becoming the villain after some name taunting.
Hallelujah. His name is Poopy Pants. We found his weakness. Hallelujah.
Eventually we get some payoffs, neat wrap-ups, and signs of kindness from the leads, while they eventually accept some responsibility for their mess. And that's about it. All it really needed to be, honestly.
Yeah, well, here we go again!
It's a funny and cute movie. Some of the fourth wall breaking puts Deadpool to shame, and honestly, it's a shame that this didn't get a much bigger audience. It didn't flop, it was fairly low budget as far as animated features go anyway, but it obviously never got popular enough to garner more films, or that big of a fan base. Granted, there is a Netflix show I've yet to watch. I'm busy, okay?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah, whatever floats your boat, Melvin.
Anyway, the animation is definitely one of the best aspects on this. It's no Into the Spider-Verse, but it does have an interesting style to it, and does mix in a few different animation techniques like 2D and puppetry. It feels very old school, much like some of the physical comedy, and while I wouldn't say it's without emotional beats, the friendship theme at its core is touching, the movie feels a bit rare in the modern animation landscape, as it's not aiming for the complexity of your average Disney or Pixar feature. It's just a comedy, and it delivers. But like any good comedy, it has substance behind the jokes. It's funny to laugh at the silliness of the superhero genre, while showing the love for the positives it brings us as people. Fairly simple, but it'd be wrong to call it shallow.
Go. Gotta wrap it up.
Very well then. Up, and
this way, sir.
But what's my greater point? Y'all should watch Captain Underpants. That's it. Nothing more. It's a funny movie with neat animation. Times are scary, so why not relax a little? This one is fun and I love it. And it's one of those movies that's near perfect at what it does. Like, really, the only full-on flaw I have with it is that Ed Helms, while perfect in the Underpants performance, is perhaps not mean enough in the Krupp side of it. But even then, he's not bad, just not a perfect fit in my eyes. Or ears, I guess. The rest of the voice casts are all great. Kevin Hart especially surprises me given how much of a fit he is here. You often forget it's not a kid going through puberty in the role.
Your anus. I know.
Okay, so I may have to talk about this trend of hiring adult men to voice kids these days. Anyway, yeah, Captain Underpants, solid movie, it's funny and creative. Go watch it. That's all I have to say. Go watch it.